what happens is my mother is taken ill in Chicago. She was teaching dancing in December, went to bed with the flu in January. It was a brutal Chicago winter, so she went into the hospital in February. She had her leg amputated in April, and she ended up dying in May. But during that process, I went home to see her, and I was looking at a paper while I was in Chicago, and there was, I read about a show called Taxi. And I don't know why, but I just jumped when I saw the name, and I said, I'm going to have some connection to that show. Now, I had this contract with CBS. I had just done a pilot for them, and I was also on Paper Chase. But there was just something about the name Taxi that jumped out at me. So I went back to LA. I would go back and forth between my mother and Los Angeles for a period of time. And I went to the first audition. Now, I was very wrong for the part, because what they wanted, I was 25, they wanted a 33 to 36-year-old Italian New Yorker. She was supposed to have a 16-year-old daughter, because the movie Unmarried Woman was very popular right then, and so was Goodbye Girl. So they liked that kind of mother and daughter dynamic. And the side that I read was, I was on the phone, because there was no script. They knew that they were already picked up. There was absolutely no pilot. They didn't have to do a pilot. And Joel Thurm, who was the casting director, he was kind of he liked me. I could tell that he really liked me. We're still friends, actually. So he brought me in, even though I was too young for what they wanted, because they wanted somebody who could have a thing with the Judd character, and they wanted somebody who could have a 16-year-old daughter. And what I was reading in my audition was a monologue where I'm talking to my daughter, saying, "Yes, honey," she was just visiting her dad. And I'm doing this whole monologue about, yes, I'm going to pick you up. No, I didn't get a new car. Well, it's kind of a new car. Well, it's this. And it was the whole thing trying to tell my daughter that I'm now a cab driver. And, oh, so he's got a new girlfriend. And she's got, and I think she even had red hair, and she was 25 or something like that, right? So I finished reading for them, and I said, are you going to have the girlfriend in this? Because I thought, well, I could maybe a 16-year-old daughter. I mean, only 9 years old, but, whatever. But they kept bringing me back, and they kept bringing me back, and I went back. Sometimes I would literally go to Chicago. I'd hear about a call back. I would get on a plane and fly. And my mom, as she was dying, she knew. She kept saying, "You're going to get this. You're going to get this." So she gave me the money to fly back, and I flew back. Richard Sakai picked me up at the airport. I went to another Taxi audition, and then I'd go right back to the airport so I could be with her. Well, my mother passed away May the 13th of that year, and I had my final Taxi audition 2 weeks later on the 26th of May. And what they did for us is they put people in groups. Now, what's interesting is nobody else was in my group. Barry Newman was in my group, who was another, he was on a series and stuff. And he was, I knew Barry because I sort of like had a good time flirting with him one time in New York, even though I had a boyfriend there, and I thought, oh, he's kind of crossing a line here. So I brought that up in front of Jim Brooks and the guys in the room, and I honestly think that that's what helped them think that I could handle being Elaine, because I sort of gave Barry Newman a little stuff, So anyway, so they called me in for this audition, for the final audition, and I said to them, when I first got in the room, I said, "You better make a decision, because I'm running out of clothes." Because I thought, I have no money, I'm not working and everything else. And my mom had passed away, and I just, But then on June the 4th, which was a Sunday night, it was the opening of Grease here in Los Angeles. It was the premiere of Grease. And I saw Joel Thurm from across a crowded room, and he went like this to me. So I knew I had gotten the part. So I told you earlier that I had been in Rio, and they said, "We want you to honor your contract," and I told you I went there and did Paper Chase, not under my contract. I did the pilot of Paper Chase, did not honor my CBS contract with it because I didn't know the piece that well, and I was actually hoping not to have to leave Rio. But I did that, and then I honored the contract, the CBS contract, by doing Leonard. So now Taxi is trying to make a decision. Are they going to hire me or not? Do they, they liked me, but I wasn't. They felt like they wanted Elaine to be older than I was. And they thought, well, what should we do? Because we really like Marilu. She's got all the right qualities, but she's too young to have this 16-year-old daughter. Well, in the meantime, Paper Chase was picked up, and they tested the pilot, and I tested higher than anybody. So they said, well, wait, we don't have her under contract anymore. She did this other pilot, so we don't automatically have her for Paper Chase. So my agents said, you've got Paper Chase. It's a guaranteed thing. You've got great money. They offered me a lot of money to do it, and a wonderful contract. But my heart, I already knew about Taxi, so they basically said to Taxi, look, you're going to lose her. If you want her, you have to sign her up now. And they said, well, maybe we could write another part for her while we look for Elaine. Maybe we should hire her for 7 out of 13 or something. And my manager said, look, you're either dating, you're either living together, or you're married. Are you married? Because you're going to lose her. And they said, okay, we're married. She's Elaine. So that's how I got Elaine. But I don't know if I would have, it was one of those timing things. First of all, if I hadn't been in Rio, I would have been on Paper Chase, which would have been great. And I wouldn't have even auditioned for Taxi. But it was so Plan B. The key to your life is how well you deal with Plan B. The Plan B-ness of all of that is really what, got me the job, basically. Yeah.